Welcome, everybody. I am Olga Temanova. Welcome you at the Ukraine Media Center, Ukrinform, day number 694 since the beginning of Russia's aggression against Ukraine. We are talking this morning about the Turkish-Ukraine relations. We are talking to Vasyl, Bodnar, the Ukraine's ambassador extraordinary and plenipotentiary to the Republic of Turkey. Welcome, Your Honor. Glory to Ukraine, glory to heroes. I would like to begin our talk focusing on the major plans as far as the Ukrainian and Turkish relations are concerned. The agenda is widespreading, beginning with the political dialogue, a number of very important issues, and the things that are tied to the ongoing war of aggression. We have planned a lot of things for this year, including the participation of the Turkish businesses in Ukraine's development. We will also be promoting President Zelensky's formula for peace. A lot of our cooperation rests on the agreement of free trade that was signed before the war and now is being at the final stage of verification. We are also planning to cooperate widely between the military complexes of our countries. The time is not right now for those details. As for the grain corridor, do we have a potential to grow for this kind of cooperation? Indeed, this issue must be divided into two key factors. The grain corridor, the grain initiative that was in place until July last year, it was signed also by Turkey and the United Nations. This initiative is not working now, although the negotiations are taking place to find a format that will work towards helping received by Ukraine from the international partners. We have established our own corridor since September, or rather August, and 25 million tons have been exported with a lot of ships taking place. Of course, the share of the Turkish business is quite strong. They are purchasing Ukrainian goods and products and source material. They're also delivering materials to Ukraine. This is where the dynamics is growing. Businesses are interested in this. Hauliers also are very much interested. Last week, as you know, Turkey, Romania, and Bulgaria signed a initiative of the demining of the western part of the Black Sea, which also helps us to effectively use the corridor that we have established. This is quite important to ensure the safe passage of the ships. Your Excellency, we have heard a news recently, and I'm talking about the refusal by Turkey to let the ships through the Bosphorus Straits. What will be the impact of such a decision? Indeed, we are now seeing and looking for the source of that information. Neither Ukraine or Great Britain have requested for the passage of the war ships. These ships, as far as I know, Chernihiv and Cherkasy, are still in Britain. At the same time, these are military warships. They can be targeted by the Russian Federation. And it's a big issue whether it makes sense for them to cross those waters. I think it's more of a news soundbite than reality. We should also remember the Montreux Convention that precludes the passage into the Black Sea the warships during the wartime. It plays into our hands because the Russian warships that were outside of the Black Sea area are not able to enter the Black Sea water area. And as our attempts have been very successful in destroying Russian military fleet, it means that Russia's ability has been crippled there. The letter of the Montreux Convention is playing into our hand. It helps Ukraine to defend our land successfully. We should also be thinking about the post-war time when a new war fleet of Ukraine will be built. And here, of course, Turkey will be very much of help. We are now building some corvettes in their wharves. And of course, Turkey will be helping us to renew the fleet capabilities, for example, in the city of Mykolaiv. I would also like to ask you about the impact of the politics of Israel on the foreign policy of Turkey. What do you see? The foreign policy of Turkey has been very much impacted in the Gaza situation and the ongoing hostilities. Of course, Turkey openly supports Gaza and Palestinian people, and they condemn Israel in most radical terms, which is to say about the priorities of their relations in terms of the foreign policy for the current period. The situation will be resolved, and we are having an intensive dialogue with the countries of this area, including the United States and the Strait. Russia has been trying to manipulate Ukrainians' announcement as far as this conflict is concerned to drive a wedge between our two countries. We have been able to stabilize the situation. There is no negative impact of that situation, but the international attention that has been focused on the Gaza situation is still drawing a lot of attention in Turkey, more, to say the truth, than they are interested in the Ukrainian situation. We are doing our best to remind them of the Russia-Ukraine war. We are trying to push for the President Zelensky's peace plan. I would like to invite the questions from the floor. Nadia Yurchenko from Ukrinform. I've got a number of questions to you, Ambassador. At the interview with the Ukrinform, you mentioned that the Turkish ombudsman would visit Ukraine to make sure that the exchange of prisoners of war is increasing. When do we expect such a visit? And what are other issues as far as this visit is concerned that could be of interest for both parties? The timeline has not been set. The parties are working on that. There has been a number of activities engaging both ombudspersons in Ukraine and in Turkey. After the month of Ramadan is ended, we'll close at that issue. We'll look at that issue more closely. We are working towards bringing Ukrainian children back and the return of the prisoners of war, the return of those Ukrainian citizens who have been taken hostage in the occupied territories or in the territory of their aggressor country. This is not the whole list of priorities. There will be other visits organized, and perhaps ombudsperson will visit different Ukrainian regions. As we are saying, it has been worked on now. The process is going in for this visit to take place as soon as possible. Another question. You mentioned the initiative of Turkey, Bulgaria, and Romania as far as demining of Black Sea is concerned. When the implementation of that initiative will take place, and what part of area of Black Sea? Perhaps it also has to do with the coastal area of Turkey, or maybe it'll go wider than that. Although the agreement, or rather the memorandum, has been signed by three parties, every party has their own specifics in terms of implementation. The Turkish party has implemented, then it been processed in Bulgaria, and as far as Romania is concerned, it has to be looked at in the parliament, because this is the parliament that will give a final yes. The Turkish party is doing all they can to make sure that the ratification takes place. it's most likely that the ships will be able to go to the sea somewhere in July, and the area are the international waters from effectively, if we draw the line from Odessa to Bosphorus, it'll go westward from that line. We can believe it to be the former grain corridor towards western part of the area, going into the territorial waters of Romania, Bulgaria, and Romania. This will not be the limitation there. At the Vilnius NATO summit, we agreed on the special procedures. The project has been approved by Turkey. We are very much interested in joining that project. The official statement reads, the possibility of the ships or equipment not to be targeted by the attacks, including other areas such as information sharing, but this will be talked about at a later stage of development. You also mentioned the fact that Turkey and the Turkish society almost all of them support Israel, while almost all of them support Gaza, but Ukrainian society believes in the right course of Israel. How does that impact? You see, this is the emotional part of the equilibrium. Of course, it has influenced the number of press coverage of Ukraine in Turkish press, and it has cast a shadow over the relations between the United States and Ukraine. All the information news are not always been adequately received here. Luckily enough, that peak of negative information is over. The discussion is now taking place about how to settle the conflict. In Turkey, they're talking mainly about how to end that conflict rather than perpetuating it. We have heard an announcement of the idea about the mediation and other steps. Our option is President Zelensky's formula for peace, and the Turkish delegation participation in the Davos testifies to the fact that we are cooperating very constructively. Another question about the Bayraktar UAVs made in Turkey. We've got a radio station called Bayraktar. We are now lacking information about those unmanned vehicles. There have been some information that they have become not that much efficient. Do we know more information about that, or are there other alternative ways for the Ukrainian armed militaries to use the unmanned vehicles? You see, there is another methodology of using them. At the beginning of the war, when Russian columns were not equipped with the radio stations, Bayraktars were very much efficient when the Russian troops were approaching Kiev. Now that the front line has stabilized and there is a multi-layer system of air defense, the Bayraktars are not efficient in attacking enemy lines. This is why they have been used in with other goals, and we are working on other directions in this area. Not only Bayraktars are being delivered to Ukraine, there are also components coming to Ukraine that help to assemble new types of UAVs that are assembled in Turkey. I also mentioned the different motors that are used in different Turkey-made UAVs. We also know about the prospects of the Anka 3 UAV. All this taken together is a component-related issue. In Ukraine, we also are playing the plant that will assemble and produce Bayraktar UAVs. The production of these Bayraktars will be marked with the Made in Ukraine plaque. We have been talking to Vasyl Bodnar, the extraordinary and plenipotentiary ambassador of Ukraine to Turkey. Thank you very much. Stay tuned. In about 15 minutes' time, we will be seeing the presentation of the book by Andrei Purkov, The Diary of Aggression. Thank you very much. We thank the Ukraine's armed forces and glory to Ukraine.